So you know that saying, it's not me, it's you? All right, well, I have another movement of the day post for you, and today's mod is not me giving you extra homework, it's your body mechanics that are dictating that we need to be able to perform a proper hip hinge. We've spoken about the hip hinge before. I gave you the tactile cue of making sure that the edge of the hand can disappear into the crease to indicate a proper hip hinge. So today's mod, we're going to do one of the more basic drills, also using a feedback mechanism, and that is the dowel drill for the hip hinge. We will be placing the dowel behind our back and making sure that we have the 3 points of contact, which is the back of your head between your shoulder blades and your tailbone, remain in contact as we hinge at the hips. Couple things I want to go over before, surprise, surprise. When we're using a tactile feedback mechanism like this, that is not our crutch. It's not there to jam our bodies into place. It's simply there to give us the feedback to adjust our bodies for the proper movement. Okay. Then I want to make sure we understand why this is considered a fundamental movement pattern. Regardless of whether you're working out or not, we're using the hip hinge, or we need the proper hip hinge throughout all of the movements that we perform on a daily basis, from sitting, standing, walking up the stairs, bending. You know, a lot of the push-pull movements require some degree of a hip hinge. And the proper hip hinge involves the origin of the movement being at the hinge of the hips, but while keeping those 3 points of contact we talked about, as well as, you know, your basically from your head to your pelvis, neutral, which means in line. So when we say something or any said body part is in line, we really mean that we need those body parts to move as one unit. So regardless of how far we're bending or the angle we're bending, that it moves in one unit. Okay, so that gives us the stable foundation from which to generate these moves, so that we're not overarching or over rounding or tweaking at any point, and making our body parts compensate for another body part, and yada yada down the line. So all right, and then other than that, the only suggestion I have is that besides your dowel, you may consider an additional prop of low stool or low bench, something that doesn't go above like midway of your shin. That could come in handy, and just to get your hair out of the way, because we want to place that dowel against the back. So let me finally shut up and show you what the movement itself is. At the top of the movement, we have basically a proper posture. And you can see this by me standing next to the straight edge of the doorway, that my dowel is also in line. So back of the head, between the shoulder blades and the sit bone, 3 points of contact. Your hand position, this is a good starting position with the hand at the base of your neck, at the base of your lower back here. If you then feel like it's better to adjust, or if you can't bring your arm up around this way, or switch hands, okay, you can play around with that. But let's start with the basic hand position, and make sure that we have those 3 points in contact. Your feet are going to be pointing forward, your legs about hip distance apart or more. And then we're just going to keep our knees soft as we hinge at the hips, meaning push the hips back, not the knees, not a bend in the knees, okay? And assuming you have the 3 points of contact remaining in place, the most important cue to look for is that as you go back into the hinge and deeper into the hinge, you should feel an increase in the stretch or the load of the hamstring. That's going to be the biggest cue, because you could actually end up with the 3 points of contact in place as you go straight down with a knee bend, okay? But that's not a proper hinge. The hinge is actually the first movement of a squat, but it's not a squat, okay? We're just looking for the hip going back. You'll feel that stretch and load. If you're an exerciser, that's the same feeling as a Romanian deadlift, okay? Now, if you find that you're coming off at any one of those points because you're either rounding your back, or you're bringing your knees forward like this, or trying to, sit down instead of hinging back, the first thing to do is to go slow enough so that as you feel something come off, you can then, adjust it right at that point. If the knees and the shins moving are a problem for you, this is where you have that additional prop that comes in handy. You're going to use the same prop in 2 ways. First is to just come right in front of it so your shins are in front, and we're going to make sure we have this prop to prevent our shin from moving forward. So just move back and make sure you're not hitting against that prop. The other thing to do is to turn around and have the back of our calves directly touching that prop and making sure that it remains in contact as we hinge, so that we're not bringing our knees forward. So that is your basic drill. If you find that your toes are curling up as you perform the hinge, that's actually a good sign. The last thing I'm going to say, unlike mobility drills where I say you can do this a couple times, couple minutes, a zillion times for this one, give or take, because we really want to ingrain that movement pattern into your body to make it automatic, and it'll be one less thing for you to think about, except for the fact that we will want to revisit fundamentals from time to time. So give it a try. This is Jen signing off, reminding you to start where you are, do what you can, use what you have, and move something. See you next time.